ALO Yoga has built a billion-dollar clothing empire and millions of people wear their products on a daily basis. For some strange reason, their email marketing absolutely sucks and they're losing tens of millions of dollars every single year because of it. I completely redesigned ALO's welcome email and made them a higher converting version that they can steal and plug in to literally make millions of dollars. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through what exactly is different between their old design and the new one and explain how these changes would quite literally make them millions of dollars in revenue. Let's get straight into it. So this is ALO's current welcome email. This is the email that I received after I signed up for their list. I'm gonna talk about why this email is under optimized, why it's losing them sales. I wanna show you the email that I made, explain why it's better. And then I'm also going to do a live walkthrough of basically like a time lapse of actually building out that email so you can see the design process. So before we start, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering like, who am I? Who is this guy? Why am I qualified to speak on this? My name is Philip Moldavanu. I am the co-founder of Social Scout. We are an email and SMS marketing agency working strictly with e-commerce brands. And so I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but as you can see, here are some client result screenshots. Pretty much half of our clients' revenue is coming just from email, okay? So a huge sales channel there. I also have a completely free email marketing newsletter where I pretty much share all the tips and strategies that I use with my clients to you guys for free multiple times per week. Check it out if you want. So what about this email is actually under optimized? Like, why is this a problem, okay? So first of all, they're giving us a discount code here, ALO BFFs, right? Now, the first thing you'll notice is that the code is not visible as soon as I enter the email, right? When I open the email, the first thing I should be able to see is that discount code. And the reason for that is because people have very short attention spans nowadays. People are constantly in and out of emails very quickly. People don't read emails anymore. They just kind of skim through them. And so your discount code, which is arguably the single most important piece of the entire email, that needs to be visible as soon as they open it, right? They shouldn't have to look for it. They shouldn't have to use any brain power to find that code. It should be as easy as humanly possible for them to open the email, see the code, click the button, go to your site, right? It should follow that exact progression. So as you can see, when I open the email, their code is not even visible. They put the code, they put the most important part of the email down at, towards like the middle of the email here, which is losing them sales, right? I've tested this. Putting the button up always increases conversion. So that's number one. Also, they have header buttons here, right? So you'll see shop women, shop men, okay? Now, these header buttons are actually losing them sales, right? These are losing them conversions because again, they're distracting from the main call to action here, right? Our main goal in a welcome email is to deliver the code and get people back to the site, right? So they can use the code. We want to arm them with the code and then send them out into battle and go to the website, right? And as you can see, these buttons here are distracting from this call to action. A lot of people, what will happen, unfortunately, it's kind of silly, they'll straight up just open this email and they'll click a button. They'll open the email, they'll see a button, they'll click, and now they're on your website, which is normally a good thing. Normally we want them on the site, but in this case, we want to make sure they get their discount code. That's our main objective here. And so by having these buttons at the top of the email, you're distracting people from this code and a lot of people will miss it, right? I've tested this as well and moving the header buttons, moving these buttons down to like the bottom of the email somewhere, pretty much always increases conversions every single time. So that's another thing they're doing wrong there. Definitely, and you'll see by the redesign, never include these at the header. Also, in my opinion, this email just looks very corporate. It looks kind of bland. I'm not a huge fan of the just black and white colors. Their brand is relatively colorful. Like they have a lot of cool colors, especially kind of like this, I don't know what you'd call it, pinkish color, right? And they're not just like an all black and white brand, right? But their email, on the other hand, it just looks very generic. In my opinion, it looks very corporate, very standardized. I'm sure you can think of a million brands that have emails that look like this. There's no life in these emails, in my opinion. There's no real character in these emails. So that's another thing there. And you'll see by the redesign, we totally revamped that and worked in a lot more life in these emails. Also, I'm not a huge fan about how this section here is pretty repetitive. It's the same exact section here. They pretty much just copied and pasted it and then put different photos in there and had a different link there. And I'm also not a huge fan of the fact that they don't actually have any buttons, right? So obviously you can click on the actual image and you can click on this text here, but in 2025, people have very, very short attention spans. People are in and out quickly. They're shopping on multiple brands. You want to, again, make the process as frictionless as possible for people, okay? So definitely need to have actual buttons here instead of just hyperlinking text inside the image. And I'll show you what I mean by that in the actual email we made. Also, I'm not really seeing any like unique selling propositions. I'm not seeing anything about the brand. ALO Yoga has a pretty big following. They're pretty well known. They're like a huge brand at this point. So they don't need as much convincing in their welcome email. Like people, if they're getting this email, are most likely considering buying in the first place. But that doesn't mean they can just skip that part completely. You still want to have some type of unique selling propositions, things about the brand history, what makes the products better, to actually influence people into purchasing, right? And I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. I'm actually not seeing any of that in here. It's pretty much just like, here's your code, barred on the email, and then here are some products. And that's really the bulk of the email there. And again, it's just, in my opinion, it's just boring, right? And they're a cool brand, and I'm not seeing that reflected in this email. So let's talk about the email that I made, and we'll talk about what makes it better. So here is the first look at the email that we designed. I'll scroll through it very quickly so that you can get a good glance at it. Now, a couple different things that actually make this email higher converting. Now, number one, obviously it's up to interpretation, but I would say very confidently, after seeing, thousands of emails, after producing thousands of emails for my clients, this is not only a lot more aesthetically pleasing, not only does it look better, does it match their colors more, is it more on brand, is it more fun, does it more so kind of like draw you in, it's a lot more stimulating, but it also has a lot of elements in it that make it higher converting from a conversion standpoint, right? So let's talk about those. So number one, you'll notice discount code button, first thing that people see in its own box with a button right next to it, okay? We're always guiding the shopper. We're always giving them that next step. We're never leaving it up to interpretation. We never want to let their mind, do the work, right? We always want to have the work fall on us, okay? So very clearly, here's your code, here's a button, go to the site. And the way we did this border here, kind of like in this frame, in my opinion, looks a lot cooler, a lot better than kind of like this just very boring, bland email here. And you know what? Let me actually put these side by side. So as you can see, right? I mean, pretty stark contrast here, pretty obvious which one has more color, which one is more vibrant. And again, let me walk you through what is actually more higher converting. So yeah, discount code button, super high up in the email, very intriguing lifestyle photo here as a hero image. You always want the hero image of an email to draw people in, right? That's the first impression of that email. That's the first thing they lay their eyes on. You want it to be interesting, right? You want to make sure people are on the hook, right? They're drawn in. And this just doesn't really achieve that, right? It's very templated, it looks generic. This, however, this pops, right? This is different. So yeah, discount code button there. So yeah, that's that. We have a little copy here, again, keeping it very sparse. We don't want to have huge mountains of text and emails. People don't really read anymore. And it can be kind of intimidating, especially as the first point of contact with the shopper, as a welcome email. You don't want to throw too much at people. Here we have their categories, except here, again, we've broken them up into their own individual category, and we've added buttons for each individual section, okay? Rather than just hyperlinking the text inside of it, we've actually made its own separate category with its own button. You want people to have a clear next step, right? Even when it seems very simple, I know this might seem very rudimentary, and you're probably like, well, people aren't that stupid. People aren't stupid, but they move really quickly. And you'd be surprised at how subconscious things like these actually really influence conversions. And I wouldn't be telling you all this if we haven't tested it, right? I'm not just kind of like giving you things off of gut instinct here, So definitely try that out. I guarantee you your conversions will skyrocket. If you're doing things like this, definitely try them like this. So this section is gonna be a lot higher converting for them. Also, in my opinion, just looks a lot better, a lot more clear as well. So there's that. Here we have social proof. So we have actual reviews from real customers, right? Again, they are a huge brand. Their social proof is kind of just in the brand perception already, but it's never a bad idea to include that in the emails. They didn't have anything like that in their previous email, so we went ahead and added that anyways. It's just a great way to reassure people, okay? It's never too much. And then this is my favorite section here, why ALO? Why this brand as opposed to the competitors, right? Why ALO as opposed to Lululemon? And just a cool little section here with a really cool graphic that we included there, really cool layout, just kind of, again, highlighting the unique selling propositions of this brand, what actually makes it worth buying from, right? Besides the brand name. And then another call to action here, as you can see, always want to have another call to action somewhere in the email. And here we have the header buttons that used to be located at the top of the email, as you can see here. We actually took them and, like I said, put them at the bottom of the email, because putting them at the bottom always increases conversions. You never want to distract people by putting them at the top. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about these two emails? Which email would you prefer to see in your inbox? Which email do you think you would purchase from? And which one speaks to you more, right? Because obviously everybody is different. I'm willing to bet if we tested this, and if you work for ALO and you're watching this, definitely hit me up. I'm willing to bet this email will significantly outperform this email. I've tested this with multiple brands, obviously not ALO, but similar styles, right? I've taken brands who have email that look just like this and redesigned emails that are similar in style to this one, and the results were just like astonishing, right? And so that's the email we made. Let's switch into a time lapse of me kind of doing a voiceover explaining the design process and how that looked as well for you guys if you want to follow along. All right, so this is a time lapse of one of our designers actually making the email from scratch. So first things first, gonna make the frame 600 pixels wide. Now, first thing we need to do is make the actual hero section. So as you can see, she made another rectangle in that box to give it that cool overlay effect, adding the hero text there along with the logo. Now she's adding that secondary text there, that take 15% off copy there. Now she's gonna add the actual background hero image here, put a cool gradient on it to give it that kind of like purple haze, pinkish haze effect. And from there, she's going to add the discount code box, the box that actually houses the code. I believe it's ALO BFFs. Gonna size it, make it look good. From there, she's gonna duplicate it, make a button there to actually make the call to action button. Always wanna have a button right under the discount code. Now, next section is gonna be the category section. So here she's adding the copy. Never wanna have too much copy, so nice little sentence there. Adding the header for this section, which is explore our categories. Here she's making the actual individual boxes for the categories. I want to have an individual button as well in those boxes. Gonna duplicate them. You don't have to make each one from scratch. So she's gonna add women. The next one is gonna be men. And then I believe it's also accessories and shoes as well. So that's that. Now, we don't actually work with ALO, obviously, they're not one of our clients, so we don't have like a brand book or brand guidelines from them. So she basically just pulled content from their website, pulled content from their Instagram to actually make these emails. But still, it gets the job done. They're a big brand, so they have a ton of content to choose from. So here she's just extracting that, taking it from their website and putting it into the actual emails. So as you can see, that looks great. Now she's gonna make the reviews section. So she's gonna add, that pinkish haze as well, put a background photo of this woman doing yoga, I think goes perfectly actually. So she's gonna add, again, a gradient to it, add some, have it fade into the background there. And here she's putting the text for the actual copy, where the reviews are in, pulled from the website, making the actual boxes for the review sections. So she's gonna put, add a little star there, duplicate it, copy and paste to make 5 stars. Eventually add that copy in there. And then again, duplicate these boxes multiple times to make multiple reviews, obviously. And I believe she's gonna have to extend that. Yeah, she's gonna extend that box there to make it a little bit longer there and make sure that everything actually fits in the frame. So that's the review section there, looks great. Now, here's my favorite section. This is that cool section with the woman kind of like, legs up on the wall. So here she's adding a rectangle there, gonna add some tilt to it and then add a gradient, again, to have it kind of like fade into the background, into the white background there. Adding the heading there for the unique selling proposition section, import that copy that was already pre-generated. And from there, again, another gradient, want it to go from kind of like dark purple, dark pink to more of a light pink, and then make the text color white, obviously. So that looks great. Here she's gonna add the final call to action section. Again, start your journey today and save 15% off. Add a button there. You never want to have a call to action section without a button. So make it white there, make it kind of look better. So there you go. And now here what you'll notice is we're adding those header buttons that were normally at the top of the email, and she's gonna put them at the bottom of the email. Again, never wanna have those at the top. So that's what that is there, looks great. And then from there, just making the footer, again, pretty simple, just gonna add the logo, delete that extra copy there, and then add the social links and the unsubscribe button. So there you go, that's the completed email. Very quick, very brief overview of what the process looks like. Obviously, it gets much more in depth than that, but just to kind of show you, what her design process looks like and what the process of designing an email from scratch actually looks like. So that is how I could make ALO millions of dollars through a single email. Now, obviously the first welcome email is a really small portion of an overall email marketing strategy. They're a massive brand, so they could get really complex in terms of campaigns and segmentation, but literally fixing this one piece of their strategy would make them millions of dollars considering how much volume they get on a daily basis. If you're an e-commerce brand and you'd like me to help you scale, book a chat with me using the link in the description of this video, and I will do a free audit on your Klaviyo account telling you exactly where the bottlenecks are and how you can fix them. Worst case scenario, you walk away with a free audit sheet showing you exactly where you're losing sales. On that note, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.